Hello, and welcome to my very last screencast ever, evolving as an ELA instructor. Woo woo! I think in order to respond to this discussion board prompt, how am I going to evolve in the next 5, 10, 15 years as an ELA instructor? I think it's first important to kind of talk a little bit about how much I've grown in this past year and just my experience in general as a student teacher. Um, so, I think that we discussed a lot at the beginning of this process what our whys are. And I've found that I'm sure it's common for most people that decide, I want to be a teacher, that they have this ideal scenario in their head that they're going to be teaching a room full of engaged, high performing, motivated students that like you and like what you're teaching and like what you're assigning. And this process has really opened my eyes to what teaching really is. So, in over the past year, I think I've kind of stepped out of that jaded kind of mindset, and I realize what it takes to be a really effective and successful ELA instructor. Not that I'm either of those things yet, but this year is, I think, really opened my eyes to what it's going to take to eventually get there. Um, and so, over the next 5, 10, 15 years, what I'm hoping to develop and what I'm hoping to grow into as an ELA instructor, I'm really looking forward to, first of all, just creating a bank of very meaningful and important and relevant curriculum. I think that that's something that I struggle with a lot. And a lot of that has to do with just where I come from in terms of my academic past. I feel like because I started reading a little bit later in my life, I just feel like I'm um, kind of at a disadvantage. Like I don't have a whole lot of existing knowledge to pull from. Like everything is new to me, which I think has a lot of benefits in that I can approach a text with my students and learn with them, just be vulnerable with them and tell them we're in this together, we're going to figure it out. But I'm looking forward to getting to a place in my career where it's not so unfamiliar and not so intimidating, and I can kind of lead a class with a little bit more confidence through a text and help students to make that meaning. Another thing that I'm really hoping that over the next couple years I'll sort of progress in and evolve, if you will, is classroom management. So I've been really fortunate because I've had a fantastic couple classes this year. My students have been wonderful. There's been they're seventh graders, so of course they're rowdy, but I really haven't really needed to enforce many classroom norms. Corrections have come really easily. Some days are more stressful than others, of course, but I've been really fortunate, and I know that that's not always going to be the case. And something that I realized over the last year is that I really haven't figured out how to maintain a healthy balance between friend and teacher, right? Or, a more authority kind of figure. I haven't really needed to assert myself in terms of classroom management. I haven't really needed to enforce and kind of crack down. And I know that some classrooms are gonna require more of that. So I'm hoping that over the next couple years, I kind of learn how to navigate that fine line and maintain healthy and positive relationships while also um, expecting a certain amount of respect um, and maintaining boundaries, if you will. So that's something I'm really hoping to get better at. Also, and I've been thinking about this a lot, especially since the master's program is starting in just a couple weeks. I'm really, really passionate. Over this last year, I've become really passionate and inspired by this concept of project-based learning and linked learning. And I don't really know where I'm going to end up in the next 15, 20, 25, 30 years. I don't know what is in store for me. I know that I want to be in education, but I can tell you that in the long run, I want to be an advocate for project-based learning. And I really want to encourage, use it even if it's just in my own classroom, but I'd love to be a part of something bigger. I'd love to somehow help to encourage other districts and other schools to implement it within their districts because I think it's so important. And I'd be really honored and proud to be a part of some kind of a team or some kind of a um, yeah, some kind of a team or organization that advocates for project-based learning, maybe does professional development seminars or something like this. I feel very passionately about project-based learning and linked learning, and wherever I end up, over the course of my career, I really hope that I'm able to kind of maintain that passion for project-based learning because I've seen what it can do for students, and I think that it's really important that it's implemented for students in all districts and not just in the select ones that it's implemented in now.